Yeah, so one of the things I always wondered, because I know quite a bit about your story, like others do from TikTok and obviously from chatting to you. But I was wondering, like, so why did you join the army in the first place, and how much did your dad influence that?
Oh, good question. It kind of that journey started with something I've recently was reminded about when I got my medical records through from the forces. That journey first started in 1986.
Well,
Excuse me, when I watched Rambo First Blood, and we watched it on a pirate video VHS, and I saw this thing where he was running around these woods trying to escape from the police, and I really like the idea of being Rambo, of being what was his name? He was called John, wasn't he? In that John,
I have no idea. I can't
yeah,
remember.
I think I can't remember his name now. John Rambo. That was it. That's why it's called Rambo. And I was really keen, but before that, I wanted to join the police force. But my dad, because he's ex-police force, he'd done some really incredible jobs in the police force. He sort of like swayed my sort of desire to want to go into the police by saying, look, don't go in, because his marriage hadn't worked out with my mum. It all gone wrong when I was 14. And I think he could see that he knew deep down it was the effect the job had had on him with his mental health. Even though this was like the mid-80s, he knew that something wasn't right because it had affected his marriage. Drinking heavily, it was a tough job. So he taught me out of the police, and I wanted to go in the army. I actually applied for the Royal Marines at 16 in 1986. I didn't get in, obviously. They said
99% don't.
Yeah, he said, you're not ready, son. Come back when you're ready. So I thought, oh, really? So I sort of jogged that on. So I spent a couple of years just bumming around, and I was really getting up to no good. And in the end, I think my dad had remarried, didn't love his stepmom, and my dad had a massive influence on me going to the forces, not because he said, why did you join the forces? It's because I was bunking off of work and not paying my housekeeping at the time. My dad found out because he was a detective. Naturally, he discovered that. It's no surprise there. And my stepmom said, you're in so much shit right now. Your dad is absolutely fuming with you. And I thought, I got so much respect for my dad. And I thought, I hate the thought of him being angry at me. Even at the age of 16 or this time I was 17. I said, so I'll join the army then. And I said it a very flippant attitude. And she said, okay, that's brilliant. I'll let your dad know. And he came back and instead of him being angry, he was really supportive. So look, if you want to join her, I'll back you all the way. And I just pushed it from there, and I just kept going. And the further I got through the interviews and the various selections, and I thought to myself, I've never seen my dad so proud of me. And I went for it. And I think the bit that two moments, I won't go into the whole story because that'll take more time than we've got. There's two moments which made me realise I made the right choice. One was when I was on the train station. My dad saw me off the Temple Station, 1988 in May. And I got on the train, and there's the old trains where you can pull down the window and you can lean out and get your head taken off by the gantry, one of those. My dad was on the platform, and he waved goodbye, and I sort of looked across at him, and I smiled, and I saw he was crying. I thought, oh, wow, my dad's... The last time I've seen him cry before that was when I think the divorce happened with my mum, and he was, that's just divorce, and it's going to happen. It's no disrespect to my mum, it's just the way it goes. And I thought, oh my God, I can't let him down. I cannot let this man down. So I got to training, did my 8 weeks basic training, which is it's more now, it's different, but back then it was 8 weeks. Passing out, your family come to visit you on the passing out parade, and I wasn't right hand marker, but which means you weren't sort of the front right hand side marker, but I was one of the taller ones within the squadron or the intake. So as the intake was sectioned out, I was at the front right hand side. Now, or bar one, I think. So as we came through, we had to salute or do an eyes right to what's known as the cattle shed, which is where it's basically a shed where all your family and the high ranking officers go when you pass out, just in case it's raining, and it was raining. I remember we marched past this cattle shed, we did an eyes right, and we were told before we went out, I said, whatever you do not look at your family. Do not look at them, because they'll be looking at you, guaranteed. Do not look at your family. And I cracked an eyes right. We did the old salute. So we just eyes right. I think the officer saluted. Get that right. Eyes right. As I did, I caught my dad's eye. And I saw the pride in his face, and I thought, and he just smiled at me. I thought, there's no way I can not continue doing what I'm doing, because I've made that man proud now. Of all the potential fuck ups I could have done over the last few years, and all things that could have gone wrong, because I was really getting up to no good. I've made my dad proud. And now if I
Yeah.
die tomorrow, I know I've died with my dad being proud of me. And
Yeah.
that's what did it. So he had a huge influence in a different kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like in a really positive way. Like it kind of
Yeah.
it helped you get your life together at a really young age.
Yeah, and it had because of the nature of my dad's work, I had such respect for him, and I just wanted to be like my dad. And
Yeah.
the work that he was doing when I joined it, he was with MI5 and Special Branch, working with
Oh, cool.
22 SAS. So I was influenced by these people. I come in from sort of school or from bunking off from work, which would be the case. And my dad would be in the kitchen with these blokes who I'd never seen before. And these all guys were serving in the SAS. And I'm thinking, because he's just doing some ops in Bristol, so I'll come back to have a coffee and we'll go out and do some work. So it was these larger than life characters in my life when I was quite a young age. So yeah, I couldn't let him down. Never could let him down. Instead, I got 15 years for cocaine. I pretty much nailed that one.
So I was thinking, like, going back to the army thing, and then so when you left the army, and then obviously you took a different path in life. So I went through a different path, and you did too. So how did that transition come about then into drug dealing?
Oh, it wasn't planned, but it was one of the reasons I actually left the army. Was at the time in 93, 94, all my civvy mates, I won't say all, I don't want to get more than the shit, but a lot of my civvy mates were dabbling. They were smoking a bit of cannabis, and they were moving on to amphetamine around about 93, 94. And what I found was I came back and I tried a bit of this, and I had a really good night. I'm not condoning it, but I had a really good night. Let's just be honest with you. I didn't sleep very well, but it was great. And that, with other things, like I met the love of my life at the time, the army had changed, so I got out, and I kind of, it was in 1995 when the rave scene was absolutely bonkers. It just really started to come out of the warehouses, and all these clubs were starting to go mainstream, and it was just insane. And I wasn't ready for that kind of exposure to that kind of world, and add my level of risk-taking behavior and the fact that I just didn't ever see anything as dangerous, because what I'd done in the forces was dangerous. Stuff where you do get shot at, people do try and blow you up, and people are trying to actively kill you.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel anything would ever compare to that. So any risks in Civvy Street, if it was involved in drugs, then I was willing to take them, because they just didn't compute, or they didn't level up. So I slowly got involved in it, and it was a very gradual thing. I was doing close protection work, I was doing surveillance, and I just sort of slowly had a series of bumps which knocked me off course. And those bumps were things like my weekends became more important than the weekdays. Back then people lived for the weekends. They still do to a degree, but back then in the rave scene, the circles we were in, is all about Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nothing else mattered. And there's a film out called Human Traffic.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Which really sums it up. That came out in 2001 or 2002, I think, or around about that. Maybe the slightly later, but that sums it up absolutely perfectly. And that's the lives that we lived. And I was involved in that life. And again, these bumps off, of course, one, because of these weekends. Second was not being sort of savvy with how Civvy Street worked, with things like paying bills, how things should work. Just little things which people take for granted. And I just didn't want to pay the bills. So weekends are more important. So as money was an issue. So I just got involved in drugs, and it just seemed to sort of like tick all the boxes. And it just started in 95 and finished in 2010 when I got nicked, or I got nicked in 2011. And it was a really, but there wasn't one day went by when I do regret things that I maybe should have made different decisions about how my life had turned out. I keep thinking, what if I didn't go out of the army? What if I didn't take that first E? What if I didn't do this? What if I didn't do that? Where would my life have been? I may not have been. I wouldn't have been here. I would have been. I might have been dead. I just don't know. Whatever choices I made were the right choices at the time, because I'm still here. I'm still going, and I'm alive, and I've got a story to share, and I can help people. So whatever I did the right thing. Although it was wrong, it was right for me. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I think it makes you who you are today. And then if you hadn't have done those things, you might not have been like a well-rounded person like you are now. Who, you're a skilled therapist. You've got all these other skills and qualifications. You're having these massive impacts on other people's lives through different bits of your work that you've done. So, you kind of turned the whole thing on its head, haven't you? So
I'm quite fortunate to have that sort of relatability with a lot of people. There's not many people which would necessarily have gone through life in the forces, organized crime, significant prison sentence, and then moving into therapy, and then using all those sort of like, because I'm the last one to judge. Just simply, I'm not in a position to judge anyone for anything unless they're a sex offender. I'm just not. So people feel comfortable in my company, and although the therapy I do is a non-talking therapy, they feel comfortable because they know I've made all the fuck ups possible. So look, don't worry, it's all right. However bad it is, I know someone's probably done a lot worse. So that kind of makes me relatable and a safe place for people to be. Through Adversity is sponsored by MVS Autos, keeping you on the road. MVS Autos offer a range of vehicle services including MOT, servicing, repairs, welding, diagnostics, aircon and much more. Based in Wormley, serving all of Bristol and surrounding areas. For 10% discount, quote TAP MVS when booking.